Hey everybody, it's Lindsay at Car Food Channel. As you know, if you've listened to anything else that I've done, the Car Food Channel is a vlog to post how you create a corporation in a year and out of your car, just for fun, and because the product needs to be tested in the car and it just saves time. And how do you sort of move through that consciously? So today I am with some very lovely people. We're having our first business meeting, even though we've had a lot of conversations on the telephone. And we met at the Green Festival that you all saw that I was at. They were also there. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and I'm going to actually record our business meeting. And if we completely screw it up, then you probably won't see this. But I don't think we'll screw it up because Spirit is here, so I think it's fine. It won't. It shouldn't get too crazied up with anything besides that. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and I'm going to set you up over here so that you can see the meeting. And because the whole thing about entering into what I call the third paradigm of business is that none of us have done it before, and it really is based on what Spirit brings through. But since we haven't done it before, it might be helpful to some of you who are moving into this arena to just sort of see how some of these conversations go. So I'm going to set you up on the desk now. So, and you got to take your shoes off because there's no shoes in here. Okay, that's the rule. But you get to look at the alphabet over there. So that's exciting. There's Arlo. Say hi, Arlo. Hello. And here's Aaron. Hello. And I'm going to set y'all up, but I have to do it in a way where they can see all of us. So you might have to move because we can't see you. Okay. Yes, this is good. See how we don't even have a table at this moment. There are other surfaces in the room, and of course the alphabet, which is the most important. So anyway, I interrupted you so that we could start posting, and y'all are going to kind of see the back of my head now is what's going to happen. But you were talking about you all's company, which is this here. So those of you who are in the vegan and ethical space and want to be doing business with some lovely distributors, this is the company right here. So yeah, we're just going to continue and have our conversation, but that is my introduction.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I was just saying that you were talking about how we created our intention and how that all looks, mm-hmm. And I think what I was saying is that the foundation of our company. The ethics of our company is based on, not exploiting animals, the earth, farmers, our health. But we want to bring that whole idea of not exploiting people into our company with how we treat our employees, giving them living wages, empowering them to create their own prosperity, mm-hmm. And then also business to business. Dealing, not trying to undercut people and get the most for yourself so that you can make as much money as possible. That's
because when does that happen? Because when does it ever happen, anyways?
And if it happens, it's
temporary.
It's temporary, and it doesn't move you forward, and it doesn't allow growth. It's constricting. Right. So if you're doing business with somebody, another small business, and you both kind of have to make some sacrifices in the beginning, it's worth it. It's gonna be something that it's a relationship that you're forming, not a what can I get out of you kind of attitude. So I think that's where we're coming from. Yeah. And well, and we both teach each other.
Hi. Sorry. Here's a whole new person I haven't met yet.
Mm-hmm.
This is my wife.
Hi, I'm Chloe.
Hi, I'm sorry. Wait.
Chloe.
Lindsay.
Nice to meet
it's
you.
So nice to meet you.
Do you want something to drink, like coffee, tea, or water?
I would take some water.
Cold water or just
cold would be great.
Okay.
It's rare I get cold water. Thanks. Well, and and we were kind of talking about too. I think we were talking partly in terms of like when I asked you like what the terms are, that you wanted me to like look at, and you're like, I'm not really sure because we haven't like talked about it yet. And I was like, well, just send me something because it's just easier to work with something. But I really like I appreciated that and I felt you in that. And like to me, you know, there's sort of the old paradigm of looking at a contract of like, okay, well this is meant to lock us in because I don't trust you.
Right.
And then there is a very different consciousness that can go on around a contract, which is this is an agreement that we're setting up for some kind of period so that things that we can perceive that we might want to communicate are communicated. And to remind us just as a discipline, and for me, even in my most hippy-dippy change management that I've done in corporate spaces and in like really much smushier spaces, you know, something that gets asked a lot is, okay, well, if you're with this cell group for a while, or if we break up into little groups or whatever, and if you're going to be with them for a few weeks, like, set up an agreement. You know, like these are the ways that we're going to work together. We're going to turn our phones off, or we're going to, you know, eat in the group, or we're going to not eat in the group, or you know, whatever. And so, like, that's how I look at that. And for me, it's very helpful because most of us don't know each other a lot going into these things, right? And so we have all of these different. Thank you. You know, so we're all coming in as an anthropologist. Here I go with my culture hat again, but you know, we're all coming in with like our expectations of what words mean, or like what we've known before, or what we've had done before. And I did that with you the other day. I was like, oh, I had made an assumption that when you sent me the original documentation that it was going to include like a terms draft. And once I realized that I had made that assumption, I was like, oh, like I need to start sending you more stuff in writing. Like we love to jabber on the phone. Like we do a lot of that. And we both have like lots of ideas. And we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that and that. But then if it takes time of like having the ideas, and then I don't have time to like send you the confirmation where you can't communicate it to you know you because we haven't even talked yet, or whatever, you know, then like later on it can get confusing, you know, or we forget, or we've had 10 meetings since then and we don't know what that other one was, but each of us remembers a sliver of it, and then we, you know, can't like stay aligned. And so so for me, you know, and coming out of a corporate situation from the last several years, and sort of merging that with who I have always been, which is not really that at all, but which you know, brought a lot of gifts into that setting, and a lot more kind of softness and kind of rational, I'd say rationalism even into it, and humanism into it. It's really cool to like use all of these, you know, what they would call best practices, you know, but say, well, what's the consciousness behind them, or what do we want to imbue them with, you know? And so that agreement's not designed. And I, you know, told you yesterday, I was like, wow, like 2 years, I think for me it would be a long contract right now, because like I'm just getting started and you all are just forming a new business as well. And so maybe like for all of us, it might benefit to have something shorter so that we can see like, well, how do we really like to operate together, you know? And then we see, and I mean, God forbid if we really didn't do that, or like my honey fried chicken chips, which don't contain chicken but do contain honey, you know, if those
talk about that,
well, like if those take off, you know, and I mean Rachel Ray wants like a zillion pounds of them or whatever, and I have to send all my production to that, like what does that mean for what we're doing, you know, or whatever, you know, it could be anything. You know, or am I still comfortable like making those in 2 months when we've been only dealing with my vegan products, you know, like who knows? And, you know, and who knows how that will unfold my consciousness, your consciousness, other suppliers' consciousness, other conversations that you all have, you know, as you're developing it. So, of how kale distribution works. And, okay, and y'all know this is like super funny that I'm working with Kale Ethical Food Distribution since we don't make kale, and since we've made a big deal out of that, because even when we say we don't make kale, people still send us requests for kale chips. It's true.
Yeah,
so it's super fun.
Isn't there a company called No Kale Chips or something, or is
I don't know.
that part of your own marketing?
That's part of our
Yes,
own marketing.
yeah.
It's on, but it likes to do
Oh,
that. I think it's even still like getting us, but yeah, for us
You're
over
not on
here.
the camera though.
Huh?
Your head's not on the camera.
Oh yeah, you need to get your head in the camera. Head in the game.
With my new haircut.
Excellent. Yeah,
I don't think, really all I've talked to Arlo about is just the food aspect of your company. So I think all of this is kind of new to him.
Oh
So I've said little bits and pieces, but
Okay.
It's very much in line with what we have
Yeah.
going on. I mean, we
That's why-
we also have a plan for a store or stores.
I was
not
just
a
hearing
store,
about
stores.
this. Yes.
And we also have private label
sure,
product lines that we're looking at.
we're working on.
And the store actually, we have a business plan for the store built.
I was talking about this
Pretty
one.
comprehensive business plan on that.
Oh, is that for the store?
And
You mentioned
marketing,
business
yeah.
man. Okay.
And one thing though that we do have in there that I think is really important with this is, with what we're talking about, is we have our core values, but I think that it's important to understand that those evolve, and that our
Yeah.
plans become something that is not fixed.
Mhm.
Our plans are between us, between everything that we do. Our plans are something that can evolve as time goes on. Because what might have been very progressive 30 years ago, today we
Or
look
one.
at and we look at that and we're going, oh, well, that's missing the mark.
Mhm.
And 30 years ago, they wouldn't have had the vision that we can see now. So I think it's dreadfully important that everything is not fixed. So
Fluid
so our business plan, it's built in Google Docs. We can edit it at any time.
Yeah.
And anybody that we share that with, the plan will actually edit, and they'll see those edits.
Mhm. Nice.
So it's not, we don't want to have a fixed idea of what needs to be an ethical company, because it's something that's constantly evolving. We're finding better ways to do things. We're learning ourselves, so we're learning how to be more environmentally sound, how to be better for animals, all that.
I think one of the main things that we agreed though on is that if you can't just give this plan to somebody that doesn't get it, and then they can follow the plan and be like, okay, I've created an ethical business, If you don't get it, then you don't get it. You have to be able to be flexible and say, okay, this something that we're doing over here is not ethical. Oh, but that's not part of our business plan. So, sorry, that's not part of our business plan. So we can't do that because
Hollywood adjustments.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And if you don't have the flexibility to say, okay, wow, this new information has arisen and
Right. It's all about
it's
the
causing
information,
suffering.
right?
It's causing suffering for somebody on the other side of the planet.
Right.
How can we, do this without doing that? How do we go into that?
Yeah.
And somebody who's just following some business plan because they want to have an ethical business because it's trendy or whatever, they're not going to get that. So.
Well, that's such a good point, and the reason that I was so impressed with these two jokers was because I knew Arlo's name and it immediately sort of zinged in my memory because last year I did finally remember the instance when this happened. Last year, after my dog transitioned, my cat was very out of sorts, and she really didn't want to be there anymore. And she was really the dog's pet; she wasn't really my pet. And so when the dog transitioned, she didn't really know where to be. I didn't really know where she was supposed to be either, and we were like trying to figure it out and talking about it and stuff. And so finally I put a posting, and I needed to ramp up production in my cottage production, and you can't have animals just roaming about when you're doing that. And so it seemed to be a good kind of juncture to see if there was a place where she felt called to go. And so I posted it on Craigslist, and these young ladies came over, and one of them, I think they were roommates, and one of them had worked at Viva La Vegan, your organization, former organization, still there, but not yours.
One of them's still open. I haven't
Okay.
had anything to do with it for about 9 months.
Okay.
I guess I still.
And it was about exactly then, and so that was right when she didn't know whether you were really involved still or not, because she knew you were moving into some other things. And I wish I could remember her name because she was such a beautiful person. But anyway, she mentioned Arlo's name and said, when she found out what I was doing, she said, have you approached them? And I said, no, I haven't. I don't know anything. I just got here. So, and so I did reach out to the store, but because I didn't know if he was still involved or not, I didn't know whether to sort of really like run down that path heavily or not. But I remembered that. And then I met you, and then you said, oh, hang on, I'm going to go get my partner Arlo. And I was like, well, wait, I know of an Arlo, and I only know of one. And so that's kind of how that little bit of connectivity already existed that was so interesting. And then what you said earlier about kind of, the business plan. Again, we're talking about imbuing consciousness into practices that already exist, document types or like words, that we call things that already exist, and sort of how do we allow those things to vibrate in a way that perhaps they were meant to vibrate in the first place, or perhaps they were built in a lower vibration field and that had not been revealed yet. And we hope that somebody will be having this same conversation 50 years from now about what we're building right now.
I'm even, the transition now is happening so fast that even with the stores that I had before,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I look at them and they seem archaic.
Yeah.
Compared to the what we're developing now,
Yeah.
is so much more advanced. And I look at those, and really what we did was we took some spaces and threw every vegan product we could possibly find into them.
Which is still impressive and rare, right?
Right.
Somewhat,
And
but
yet-
still there's a whole
and-
element, an ethical element that was missing there, that wasn't built into that. And so through a lot of just personal searching and whatnot, I found, and with Aaron's help too, we found what we think blows that out of the water.
Yeah.
As far as how to run a business, and how to determine which products we're going to carry, how to determine what companies we're willing to work with, and all the way down the line. So.
And yesterday, that happened. It showed it to us that yes,
With the pet
this is
products.
exactly what we're talking about.
Y'all, this is a
exactly
good
why we're
story.
doing this.
I wanted to tape this story anyway, but now's a good time. Let's do it now.
Aaron,
Yes.
tell the story.
Okay. So at the
The directors say it.
at the Green Festival, we met just I think on the same aisle down at the end of your aisle, or maybe one over and down. We met this this nice older couple from New Jersey that had a product called Eco Dog Care, and we have I told you we have a company that we're going to be distributing the vegan dog food for. That's a really good quality, nutritionally complete. There's a real need
Which
for
is
it.
rare also, y'all.
Also rare, yes.
But is possible. So if you're not aware that dogs can eat vegan, they can eat vegan very happily and live a lot longer.
Yeah,
Back to you, Aaron.
And also there's a lot of dog owners that are vegan that do not want to support factory farming, and
Right.
so they either make their own food or they get what's out there, and there's a lot of not so great stuff. So we're gonna kick it with this, but we wanted to come in with a product to kind of support it. Like here we don't just have one pet product. We have
Right.
or
Here's our pet vertical.
Arlo likes to call. You don't like to call them pets. What do you what's your word for it?
Yeah, I don't really
We were-
want to work pet.
Yeah.
We were trying to come up with one.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our animal friends,
Our animal friends.
buddies.
We're animals
But we're
too,
animals
so it's
too.
kind of a
Yeah.
Our quadruped friends.
Well, there-
Part of their friends.
unless you have a dog that lost a leg.
And there's a dog
That's true.
that has lost both his front legs, and he
Oh,
walks
yeah.
on his hind legs.
My dog was fairly bipedal. She did a really great job.
So your story, Aaron.
Okay.
Yes.
So
We
Yeah.
digress.
so Eco Dog Care.
Now we're branding.
So we met them.
We've
We
got pineapple here
oh
too.
nice.
Oh my gosh, pineapple's the best
Pineapple.
thing in the world.
Pineapple delivered.
Wow, the service here is outstanding. I get ice in my water, there's pineapple.
Here, there's a.
It's like, I'm gonna invite y'all to live in my car with me. This is
And a
awesome.
gallon of like coconut oil or something.
Nice.
Oh no, that's wheatgrass.
Is that right?
Oh okay.
This is serious business. This is a humongous, what we used to call pickle barrels, because often pickles go in them. but it's that size. It's like a humongous paint container.
That's just
looking
for
thing.
us. That's just for the house.
Okay, so anyway, you were saying.
So we let's get back on track. But
Back on
okay.
track.
So Eco Dog Care, we felt we looked at the product. The couple was really nice, and their story, their intention, the reason they created it. We really liked it. It looked like it was a really clean product, and so I gave them my card, my information, and the following week they reached out to us. Let's talk, let's see what this is all about. So we started talking about it. They gave me some pricing and things like that, and then I said I need to see a list of your ingredients. So they sent that over to me, and I started going through everything. And a couple products, we research all of the products that we carry, ingredient by ingredient. It's very important to us.
I wanted to stop you there and notate that, because that's super rare. And we were talking about earlier on the phone when he was telling me this story. This gives a humongous advantage to stores that would want to work with brick and mortar spaces that would want to work with kale distribution. Because this is work you don't have to do. If you are the brick and mortar, or if you are the online store, you can know for sure that there's not going to be something carried that has any number of items in it. So
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So there was a few ingredients that were concerned as far as animal exploitation, veganism. And those were, they could be sourced from animal or plant sources, usually fats. Like vitamin E is one of them.
Right.
Vitamin E can come from sheep oil from the skin when they make wool. It can come from animal fat, and most of the time it comes from plant sources. But we have to make sure on every single ingredient that it's a plant source.
And that it's very bioavailable, because there's different levels of bioavailability.
Right.
To
exactly.
it too.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And and that's part of it. Sourcing better quality ingredients is part of what we're doing too. And
Also, a big one right now too is non-GMO.
well,
Right.
that's what I'm getting to. Okay, so they came back with the vegan. Here's what our chemist said. Everything's plant source. Here's the source of here's the plant source. 100% of the time, I told them that it can't be like, sometimes it's from plants and then it's from animals. It has to be 100%. And then they said, we don't really understand why you're asking us about these 3 products that could be genetically modified, because it's a shampoo for dogs. It's not human consumption. And
I want to say here, there is no such thing as a topical non-consumed product.
Yes.
Let's be real clear about
Right,
that.
exactly. Yeah. Your
So
skin
if you think you're not taking it in, guess what? Your skin is your biggest organ at all. And so you're always taking it in, but also just thinking about the pollution that's in your air. You're worried about that. And so you want to make sure that, know that everything in the ethers is affecting what is coming in.
And this is your dog too. Pets are just as affected as, their skin absorbs.
Furrier friends
Yeah.
of all sorts.
Yeah.
And then also, the other part of that also obviously is that if you're purchasing a product that has genetically modified ingredients in it, you're supporting that industry.
Right.
Right.
And that's where I went with that. I didn't even talk about, the the fact that the dog's going to absorb it. I said, this is important to us and to consumers, because they don't want to support companies that grow these kinds of foods, and they're contaminating our food supply. They're contaminating the earth, and that's the focus I showed them. And then I even took them. I gave them a link to the non-GMO project, and I went to pet products, and it linked, and there were products in it that were not food, that were shampoos. And I said, there's only one other company on there that has a dog shampoo. Imagine your product being on there, being the only pet care line with controlling pests, keeping your dog clean. That's verified non-GMO. And they got it. And I wasn't sure if they got it at first, because they said, well, we'll get back to you. We're not sure if we're going to be able to do that. We don't know what that involves. And then, didn't hear from them for a day or two. And then yesterday, they sent an email and they said, we are happy to inform you that moving forward, all of our products are going to be sourced from non-GMO sources.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And then, just our interaction with that company, and just this one company has not only raised their awareness and their consciousness of what's in their product, because they're what they put in their products, that they had good intentions and they wanted to have the best product for what they were doing, but they needed some more information,
Right.
and we were able to provide that, and then now their product is like more awesome than it was,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
and
you're giving them a tool to market as well. I mean,
exactly.
I don't want to get all like money on you or
From a
anything,
business
but like
standpoint,
it's good business.
Businesses
one
want
of
to make money.
That's one of the bottom lines. I mean,
Right.
it's a way that we circulate energy, right?
Right.
And we do it through tangible means, and we do it through money, and we do it through intangible means.
And if
They're
we-
all important.
If we can create a model, if we can create a business model that shows that you don't have to do certain practices that are unethical, but you can do these ethical things and also make a profit, that's going to attract more people into this business model.
Yeah.
You know? And for us to go out there with the story, we're helping the product to get more exposure and to sell better,
Right.
but also we're telling a story that's important and it needs to start happening more and more often. Like consumers are interested in where their ingredients come from, where their products come from, and I don't know.
And also
That
packaging
moment.
too. Packaging is a
Right.
very important part of that also.
Yeah.
Well, and-
that's something we look at very closely. also.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
what
that's
we're
been such a great tool that you've shared with me, because I think I had told you the people at the Green Fest that I had been across from, they literally have like one trash can for the whole year. Like that's how efficient they are. They're fantastic at their engineering and their packaging, and they sell glass, y'all. So like if they can sell glass and send it to you in the mail and not have it break, at Eco Jars with a Z. You know, like, then what are the rest of us doing, really? I mean, you know, I sell totally
great.
non-breakable stuff, right? So
Right.
you can't break my stuff. I already cut it up. So, but it's such a good tool, and I want other suppliers and people in vibration to be aware of you all's service attitude, because I, as a smaller vendor, as a newer vendor, as a heck of a networker, but still a smaller vendor right this moment. The kinds of service that you've already provided for me, both just advisory and strategy and just vibrationally, but also just, hey, you need help with packaging? Here's a guy, here's a guy who's actually
Good job,
creative
Robert.
about,
Okay, good.
about using proper compostable material, stuff that I'd rather be using, and that I know that even my current packaging partners want to be providing, but they don't really know how, or they don't know like the pipeline, and so every time I find out more information about our packaging or about any kind of our sourcing, I'm pretty hardcore about these things and been doing them for a long time, but but there's always pieces, and it's why on our products, on Muncho's Raw Snacks, if you look on the ingredient page, or on the back on the ingredient list, I'm very serious that if you have a better way to source something, like, we want to hear about it. It's really important. And the only thing that's not raw in the product is one version. One item has a peanut oil that's a roasted organic peanut oil of very medicinal quality, but it is roasted. And then the other is the spices, which are organic, but they're spices, and so they're cured, because that's what happens to a spice. So, but if there's a way to be more assured that not only the plant is in higher integrity and higher vibration, but also, as you've mentioned, the human element, there's a ton of labor and a ton of supply chain behind each of these things. And as a supply chain professional, I know there's all kinds of madness that goes on everywhere along the way. And how do we make this more efficient and keep it in higher vibrational integrity, because there's an opportunity at each of those points for the food to be blessed or for it to be cursed vibrationally, right? And so making sure that there's that opportunity the whole time and that we can bless that entire process is really critical. And I brought in, if I didn't, it was because I lost my mind on the way in. Yeah. So y'all may have seen.
You left your mind at the door.
I did. I tried to only bring in my spirit, my soul, but it's with my shoes. But I brought for y'all to try. Anybody who saw my Instagram yesterday was vintage Muncho's Raw Snacks that I found from like 9 months ago or something crazy that I made. and they're in some of the old packaging and so forth. And I was like, well, I'm going to open these because I can't sell them, and let's just see what happens. And they were so good. And what I was reminded of as I ate 2 bags of them was not only that I hadn't eaten at all that day, and that's why it took me 2 bags, but yes, see there, that's what they look like now. But that they also, they were vibrationally so strong, and every single time I eat them, you know, you may not get this at a show, y'all, like when you come and taste them as a sample, or if you come and kind of snack on them in little bits. I don't know if you get the same effect. But if you eat a bag, or if you are eating them on a regular basis, your vibration will change. It's instant, almost.
I just have a thought.
Yes.
I've got to interject here.
Tell us.
Back to business.
What's your thought?
If we're trying to hit the highest energy with this,
Uh-huh.
have you attempted at all to source veganic produce?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, veganics is, for my
We're gonna learn something
in my
else.
opinion, it's the highest level of organic farming.
Okay.
So we have a lot of organic farms. They're using manures, blood meal, bone meal, ground up baby chicks. All that goes into the soil. All right. Now, what in veganics you're not using any animal-based biomass for creating nitrogen.
That you know of.
Fertilizers.
Like
Yeah, well, I mean,
fertilizer-wise.
obviously, if a bird flies by or something, there's
Right.
a little bit there, but
Yeah.
it's all you're working much more closely with creating good, healthy soil. Whereas, like manures, you put manure in the soil, it throws off the biology in the soil, it disrupts the mycorrhiza and other organisms and whatnot within the soil
Mhm.
that promote the basically bringing of nutrients to the roots of the plants. And all you're really doing is adding a whole lot of nitrogen so the plant grows.
Okay.
And from a nutrition standpoint, I don't know if there's any studies been done on this, but I mean, a plant will grow with the nitrogen and a few other
That's
NPK,
It's
right?
what they
They'll
do.
do fine.
Yeah.
However, with this system, you're creating a natural ecosystem basically that delivers a lot more nutrients to the roots of the plants.
Nice.
And you're also not exploiting animals in any way because you're not going to a factory farm and picking up truckloads of chicken manure or
Mhm.
whatever happens to be close to you. So you're better promoting a product. Promoting a product that better serves us by not exploiting animals. Also, from an environmental standpoint, if you're piling up a bunch of manure on land, a large majority of that, because it's not bound like the nitrogen that's produced when you're building good soil, it's not bound. That manure just gets washed away right into the waterways.
Right.
And so from a pollution standpoint, it's really not that much greater, or maybe it's not any greater than growing conventional.
Interesting.
From an aspect,
On
because
the
with
leaf.
conventional, you put out your synthetic fertilizers, and yeah, it builds up salt in the soil, and it creates all these other different issues and washes into our waterways. But when you put manure, all that's washing into the waterways too, and it's also throwing out biology in the soil, oxidizing, and you have to keep replenishing it every year. Whereas
It's
if
like
you
it's
build
dependent.
soil
It's
in
dependent.
veganics, you build that soil, and that soil every year it's going to get better. It's not
Well, and how does
gonna
that
get
work with the biodynamics? I'm not a soil scientist. I did live in Amish country for 5 years, so I sometimes feel like a soil scientist. But I've been curious about that, and what I often tell people is that we're using organic, or what I even call like trans-organic, like sort of beyond organic farming, and which is why we're not listed as organic, because we can't guarantee that everything is USDA, and I would much rather work with a farmer who's being super conscientious and would rather spend $30,000 on his soil than, on his soil having integrity, than to send to the government. Like, I'd rather do that. But tell me more about biodynamics.
In biodynamics and French intensive, those forms of agriculture, there's no reason why you can't do those organically. I mean, there are things in biodynamic farming that you would have to omit, but you can still farm within the cycles of the moon. You can still stay consistent with all that. I mean, one thing that a veganic farmer might not do that they do in biodynamics, and I really don't understand how it works myself personally, is they do something where they fill a horn with something and then bury it, and I don't understand how that works. I don't
Well, and I
know
think it varies. I think that, if I understand right, maybe I don't. Y'all help us here. But my understanding is that a biodynamic method would vary depending on like where you are too, and would just be very responsive to both the organism that you're trying to promote growth from and the organisms that are around you, and just be having the lightest footprint possible in terms of like effect on.
Absolutely. Well, I think a hybrid is kind of a taking the best from biointensive farming and French intensive farming, whichever you call it, and veganic farming and permaculture, and bring all that together.
Yeah.
That's our that's optimum, you know.
Yeah.
My mom took a course in gardening up in Northern California, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's very interesting. And she has her own, home garden in Hawaii, where she's retired, and so I just reach out to her and find out what that is. And then there's also, I saw a great video from these people up in Canada that are doing something that where they're working with the natural elements, they're working with wild plants in all of their gardening, and everything's just like, this flow. And,
Right.
Something in the form of permaculture.
Probably
but it's a raw vegan community.
Yeah.
And so people come there to
We should
study.
hang out with them.
I know. It's a beautiful space too,
Yeah.
except for maybe in like February. But they're
Burr.
Burr. But it's I'll find them because Chris and I used to watch that all the time because we wanted to go and study with them. But they have and what they do in the winter too is
And I'm Canadian, so maybe I could just get a new
collecting
passport. Ooh, there goes my phone.
They collect all their own seeds, and so they don't. It's like it can be a totally self-sufficient kind of thing too.
Right. Yeah.
Which we're not. That's not what we're doing here, but
Not today.
not today. But we're trying to.
Maybe later today.
We're trying to include as many people and bring as many people into this as we can.
Yeah.
So did we divert from the story, or we told the story?
Well, you told the story. Yeah, you did a good job. You told the story.
Okay.
And I wanted to share also that when I first came in, we didn't really know, we know some things that are on the list. We were going to go over the contract and we wanted to hang out and stuff. But I didn't know if there was an agenda or anything. And but something that I asked the guys pretty soon after I got here was how do you vision? Do you vision? What does that look like for you? How does that work? And they were sharing with me that they're just kind of in this flow and brainstorming all the time. And that's a lot of what I've done over the years too. And since I have been a part of the Agape community down in Culver City, which is also known as LA for those of you not in the area, I've been doing a little bit more structured way of visioning, but very, very similar. I mean, totally same spirit of what I've always done, including when I was in ministry years and years ago, and I was living in a community house, and we were just all sort of brainstorming and praying, and it was all just sort of unfolding. But the steps that are involved, they're in terms of real tangible steps that I could share with you that I was kind of sharing with them. Are, just from a very quiet space. I mean, getting quiet is a key, sort of what I'm going to call a pre-step. But that would be kind of the first step. And then kind of asking the question about whatever it is that you're trying to focus on in that session or that moment. What is, really the highest good? What would the highest good look like for fill in the blank, for my life, for this business, for Kale Ethical Food Distribution, for our relationship, for Allwell Brands, for my employee structure, for my policies. What would that look like? And so far, what has come forward for me has been what you find out about in Car Food Channel. So I've shared a lot of that with you, usually very late at night. After it's unfolded. But those of you who have applied to positions, roles with, I don't even like, the word position doesn't even really work because it indicates there's a position or a pose that we're going to put you into, which is just not how the company is set up. But a role, this, an embodiment. What is that embodiment? What would it be from our perspective of structuring it? How much does structure even matter anymore? How much is that even a part of this current paradigm that we're moving into? And then the next question being, what do I have to become in order to allow that? And whether that's my personal stuff that I need to move through, or whether that's, okay, I need to sell my car and go get a different car, or that's, I need to be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to meditate or to spend time with my kids, or whatever that is. What does that look like in real life?
Dehydrate.
Or dehydrate something, for example. How many pennies do I need to pick up off the ground in order to purchase a $1,500 dehydrator or a $1,500 food processor? Many. But that's kind of the next question. And then the next question after that is, what do I need to release? Now you're asking yourself these things all from a very, very quiet space. And from a space of allowing whatever comes in to come in, whether it's nothing or whether it's like a flavor that comes into your mouth, whether it's like a word that hits you, whether it's a sound or like a ringing in your ear or whatever, or a vision, like kind of a visual in your head, like a picture in your head, or like a ton of writing, who knows, like it can come in any kind of way. By just being open to that flow. And then once we know like what would have to, so that next question is what would need to release in order for that embodiment to occur. And then the question is like basically what could I be doing right this darn second? Like I don't need another class for this, I don't need another degree for this, I don't need to like change where I live for this, I don't need to, have my partner be different, I don't need any of that. But like, what are my capacities and skills, and what do I already have to offer right this moment to start fulfilling that? And then you come out of that. It's a really powerful like visioning technology. Really, I think it's been really helpful to me. And I mean, I wouldn't have all these crazy new ideas about how to build a company that haven't existed before. If I wasn't going through that process pretty regularly. So that was kind of how part of how I started the conversation, just to kind of get a sense of, how they flow and how they work. So we haven't per se done it together in like a real like structured way, but I mean, this conversation I think is really super helpful to the spirit of understanding, where we're partly the where, but the visioning it doesn't even always give you a where, it's just it's a willingness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a willingness to, okay, well, I don't know how that happens, so I'm just
Right.
going to be available.
That's what.
And just know I'm available,
Mhm.
and I'm going to start stepping, and you just give me a brick wall if that's not it,
Well, when this happened, Arlo and I just kind of decided to do this.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years, 5 or 10 years,
You're out of the picture again.
For the last 5 or 10 years, I've been, thinking, I need to start my own thing. I'm creative. I'm a hard worker, and I'm working for people who don't appreciate me and are not, they're not.
We're going to air this, right? So I'm just saying.
I don't know who those people are, but
I don't know.
won't
We don't
say
know who those
names.
people are.
No names mentioned. But the point is
Messengers
that I have
for
been.
you.
I have been, this is something that I wanted to do, and I know that I would be good at it, but I didn't know how. And then, people that I would talk to about it would always kept saying, don't worry about the how, just keep seeing it.
Right.
And then I would have never imagined how it was going to happen, how it did happen, and it just kind of fell into place, and it made sense, and it was the perfect time, and then it just kind of everything's just kind of flowed into it, and it's been, financially it's been difficult for me, but I knew that was going to be how I was going to start off.
Mhm.
But it's okay because I'm taken care of, but at the same time I'm also developing something that is mine and that I can be proud of, and that So it just that whole thing about the how, if you spend too much time in your head about that, oh my gosh.
Well, because the mind is not available to do that for the
Right.
mind wants to, and the mind is trying its darndest
Like
to.
a dog trained
But the mind isn't designed to do that, because miracles don't happen through the rational.
irrational, right?
And I'm looking for a miracle life myself, You know,
Yeah.
like that's the only thing that I want to be in all the time. And so my mind can't do that for me. My mind can do other things.
Yeah, the synchronicities that happened for us, it just was like, you know, this was oh sorry. This was not the
Such a good
half heads. You know, it just was it just, you know, I kind of just let it do its thing, and it all fell into place.
Well, and I didn't say, you know, I said how, and I knew, you know, this much of Arlo's history, which I shared, but I want to let you all share too, and I didn't share anything about kind of yours, but Erin is a big superfoods background person, and, you know, I just consider all food to be superfood myself, and so I have never been in that, like, business per se, but I'm in LA now, so these are the people I hang with, right? So these are people you don't accidentally meet in Illinois usually. But they're all over the place here. So y'all share a little bit about your background, because I know nothing about you before 9 months ago, really.
I do have to say, I probably should have told you this before, but I have some friends that are from out of town, and I do have to take them to the airport.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, you know,
At a moment in time that we should be aware
I
of?
should probably take off and go in that direction in about 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
But they're, you know, it's funny because they want to move back here and stuff, and the things that have happened for them, because they're both artists. When we were talking about how the other day how Los Angeles just has this, you know, this energy about it that you know, just is creative and opens doors, and, you know, and it didn't happen for me in San Diego, and it's not happening for them in the Bay Area or in Seattle, and
Interesting.
so, you know,
Well, and yet
they're kind
there's-
of part of this whole story that's going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, my whole experience with SoCal overall has been just like a deeply intellectually generous. It's the most intellectually generous place I've ever been, lived, anything. But yeah, there are real different kind of sectors, and so LA I feel like is a very international conversation. Like San Diego is a very locavore, like let's really commit to making and I think this, you know, it's such a good incubator for this kind of consciousness. You know, are we locavore just because it's cool, or because we want to be in slow food because it seems cool and chic? Well, no. Like, I mean, I think San Diego has given a really good traction to, like, how do we do this all the way? Like, we're very serious about this. We're so serious about this that we're going to make sure that LA people only want to drink San Diego beer. And we do, by the way.
And San Diego has the most organic single farms per capita of any county in the country.
Holy cow. I didn't even know that. I mean, I totally believe that, because that's what, I feel like that's what the commitment is. But it speaks again to when we make a level of commitment and we say yes to a particular thing, whether it's what we mean to say yes to or not, when we really say that yes, like everything shows up for just that. And that's what I think, and I told you, even when I was in Illinois, I was on the cottage food producer, you know, frequently asked questions like thread, and it was out of San Diego, and I was like, well, I hope that's true in LA, because that's where I have resources, but thank goodness for San Diego for sharing that. And, you know, and then we have sort of the consciousness in LA that is, I think it's more fluid. It's less of a conscious yes, but there's just so many yeses going on at the same time that then we end up with a lot of resources. And I think that's also where the West Coast, and certainly the part that has a lot of vitamin D available in it, it's so available for us to continue to say the yes, continue to like push, you know, say, okay, yes to that, and I'm ready for the next thing. Show me the next thing. Show me the next thing. I'm available for the next thing. And like stay open, you know, and keep the heart space open.
It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah, it's deep
and you know,
constant.
There's going to be products that we have that are maybe not the best that they could be, but the fact that we are interacting with these companies and like the whole story yesterday, you know, it's a process. You know, it might not be the best product I mean, there might be
It's
some
funny
ingredients
every
that are
time.
not the best, but for what's available, it's the best product.
Right.
And then that's going to turn into an even better one.
Well, it's true, and I mean the best right this moment may not be the best 3 days from now. It's
Exactly.
the best today.
Right?
And
But we want to go for the best.
yeah.
And if
And
that
a
changes,
large part of our objective is to help these companies be the best. And
Yeah.
we were
Well,
just
you're
talking
so
about
actively doing that.
We were just talking about this today. We were saying that really an element of our company is consulting. And,
Yeah.
And then
I get that.
we want to provide that consulting at no charge. We want to provide that to companies so that they can, it benefits us in the long run too, because then we have the best product to sell, but also
Yeah.
so that they can have a lot of success and they can have the best product that we can think of collectively put out.
You know,
it
it's
changes their consciousness about what they're putting in the
well, and
product.
there will be, and at that point too. I mean, you are attracting companies who don't want to just work with whoever,
Right.
and
They
who
care.
may be far, far more knowledgeable than you are.
Yeah.
And who will up your game, and who will say, well, why are you working with people using that, or what's up with that, or what's up with that? And
Right.
they'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me more.
Right,
You
right,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, the more we're in a consciousness of, in a daily yes about tell me more, tell me more, tell me more,
Right.
Reveal more.
And the consumers too will also be contributing this. I mean,
Yeah.
Arlo can sure could tell this the most because people would come into a store and be like, hey, blah blah blah, and point things out, And
Right.
instead of being like embarrassed or getting defensive about it, we want to be like, oh, okay, great, that's why we're here. Tell
Yeah,
us. We
good.
want, we're not embarrassed. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Let's find out about it. And then the consumers and the people in the industry all they think we care. So we're gonna get that feedback from everybody. So
Well, and I
all
think
the way
that
around.
kind of, the fact that the areas of the country, the world, wherever, where we can really nurture this kind of no failure mentality, if there is no failure, there is only revealing more and more.
Right.
And there's never been any failure, and that's just been nonsense.
That's a lie.
But that's just not true. So, so y'all don't worry about your tests later today. We'll be testing you on this. You don't have to know anything. It's very low pressure. But you have to know your alphabet. So
You create the test yourself.
that's right. So it's gonna be fun. And we always do, right? Now I can't remember what I was gonna say. What did you just say?
Well, I was just saying that we're getting feedback from consumers, we're getting
Oh,
feedback
yeah.
from other people in the industry, and going and being open to it instead of being like defensive or resistant or don't
Yeah.
talk about my product that way or
Well, and that kind of thing. I mean, I think in the areas where we're able to really nurture that, it has huge, not even just ripples, but there's this huge vortex that gets bigger and bigger and bigger around us that we can continue to nurture. And when we have that no fail mentality, when we have that, let's just reveal more, let's just reveal more. Oh, you have new information? Tell me. I have new information? I'll tell you. And then that is what allows us to continue to get forward and and not be stressed out about it. There's no reason to be stressed out about any of it. I mean, do we want to know what's on the adhesive on the stickers on Muncho's Raw Snacks? Well, in one way, no, we don't, because it's probably not something awesome for the environment. But do we want to know in order to be in higher integrity with what we're doing? Yes. So please, if you see this and you know what's on those, please let me know.
right.
Yeah, but I mean, just, calling it like I see it and bringing it out into the light. And that's part of what this blog is about too, just in terms of bringing this entire process. I don't want to I'm writing the book now, but I don't want the book to come out next year and you say, well, yeah, she could do that, but I could never do that. Well, that's just silly. I'm just some person roaming around and doing, and trying to hear. I'm just trying to hear. That's all we're doing here. And every step, but I've done the same thing. I'm so have been the person of, oh, well, I can, because I'm a consultant, so I can rebuild your business all day long. But can I build my own business? No, because it hasn't been done before. So I can edit, but I can't create. Well, that's just not true. We're all creators. We're not editors. The universe is not created out of, oh, that sun was really good, let's make another one over here. That's just not how it works, So So all of these vortices that are forming, and the more that we're all in this consciousness and don't just agree, but make a conscious, okay, I just agreed a second ago, I'm agreeing again now. I'm agreeing again now. I'm agreeing again now. And create this massive level of safety. That is what the third paradigm is. It is a safe business modeling, right?
It's really interesting to
That's-
say that.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Safe is a word that
Safe is
that's,
kind
yeah.
of an interesting word
Appeals
for me
it.
because in my history with the stores
Mhm.
before,
The history that you haven't told us about yet,
well,
but exists in some place and time.
so I was involved with the vegan grocery stores for about 2000. Shoot, I don't remember. I think it was 2011, something like this. And then about 9 months ago, I stopped working with them. But I still technically call them. That's that part of my history. But I've been vegan for almost 20 years, and I've been studying nutrition and environment and all that stuff, you know, and for most of that time. So kind of the knowledge and all of it. I forgot what I was going to say though. What was I gonna say?
Safe.
Oh yeah, yes, safe.
I think
Okay.
It's
This
good
is
there's
important.
3 of us to keep
All right, I
us on
used-
track.
when we only had one store and we were kind of operating, you know, owner operating it, I did a lot of talking with my customers and just kind of getting to know them and learning from them and sharing ideas and just, you know, I mean, there were times that they came in to do their shopping and then the next thing you know, we're talking and it's an hour goes by, you know. And,
Yeah, I've never heard of that happening.
and-
I don't know anything about that kind of dynamic at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
So one thing though that was brought to me that really was interesting to me because we never put this out there. We never said to anybody, you know, that we're anything other than a vegan grocery store trying to support the animals or the planet. But I had more than once, in these conversations with people, they're talking about their shopping experience at our store. And they said, you know the reason I shop here? And more than once this happened, and it was really interesting to me. They said I shop here because it feels safe.
Wow.
And I actually, in my mind, I was thinking, you know, in my mind, my heart's kind of going, well, you know what, I know we can actually do a lot better. You know, that's what I'm actually saying in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm still happy about the fact that they enjoy the service that we're providing. But
And
in my mind,
I've never said that about it. I've never had that impulse in a shop.
No, it doesn't.
And
Even my
exist.
favorite shops. Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't even put
visualize.
those together.
Yeah.
and I think what they were saying was they feel safe. One is because they might have been vegan and they were saying, hey, you know, I feel safe because I know that I can grab something off the shelf and it's not going to have some you know ingredient in
Bone
it that's
in it.
against my ethics and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I think there was something more to it than that. I
Yeah.
think that they felt like we were really doing our best for them. And at the time we were. I didn't know that there could. I mean, well, there's always an evolution, you know, and I had that in my mind. I knew there were better things that we could be doing better, but it's all a matter of time and trying to formulate those things. And so I did. When people said that, I would say, well, we could do better, you know, in my mind. But at the same time, I was kind of like, well, that's kind of cool. I'd like to create that feeling for people. So back to all I'm saying is that that's kind of a foundation for a lot of our business when it comes to what we're doing. Is we not only want to just make people feel safe, we want to know that we're actually doing the best we possibly can to make that a reality. We're not cutting corners over here and making them safe over here. We want the whole picture. We want people to feel safe environmentally when they shop with us. We want them to feel safe with the fact that we're not exploiting animals. We want them to feel safe with the fact that we're treating our employees appropriately and our vendors appropriately, and if we have investors, our investors appropriately. All the way. Everybody needs to be a part of that safety.
And
Well,
it
and the
takes
chemical
some of the
makeup
work.
of the planet too. I mean, just the GMO issue.
Yes.
I mean, I'm the first person. You know, I'm probably the most moderate person who ever grew up in the South. But I, you know, I do understand at an intellectual level and like as a child of academics that, you know, maybe there's some things about GMOs that we'll find out are positive in the long run. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, and scientists don't know right now. But there's a vibration in it right now that is not.
It's a big M
One,
word.
one,
And-
one thing
Yes,
it's-
there is a big M word.
There's a big M word in
There
there.
is. And yeah, if it were done naturally, it might be one.
it might be.
A different thing,
Or
but
if it's genetically modified in a certain way that's beneficial but not harmful. But typically,
Right,
a lot of it
but we
though,
don't
is
have
being
that.
genetically modified so they can spray more chemicals on it.
right.
Right.
Or put an animal gene in it.
And,
Which makes it
and
not
the,
vegan.
the implications of the government of the world being able to control our food supply
Right.
is that's big.
Well, it's just
you know,
against universal
beyond-
principle.
yeah.
Like it's not going to happen. Like we know that corporations own the world, and the fact is that old corporations are dead now. The second paradigm was serving that group, and they will either transfer into the third paradigm or they will die with the first group. And the third paradigm is the corporations who are conscious and maybe not even set up as corporations. You know, you saw my role description. One of the pieces in it is advise me on whether we should be a corporation. I don't know. It's not. I mean, I'm open to. You know, we're incorporated right now. You know, maybe that isn't
Something
what we'll
better.
stay. We'll see.
I tend to think though, if you are consulting people on this and they're asking whether or not it should be a corporation, I think one thing that you might put in there is suggesting that if they do decide to become a corporation, that they do decide to become a benefit corporation.
Right, absolutely. And that's what we are currently in development. But honestly, I mean, I see us hurtling into what we thought 2 years ago was going to be 15 years away. I see us like moving fast into that. And so there's a ton of companies, you know, you see on Conscious Company website and so forth that are already full-fledged B Corps. And I think the B Corp and B Lab has been amazingly instructive and a good business partner and a good spiritual partner, I'm just going to say, for folks really moving into that space. You know, they don't say it that way, but like that's really the spirit of what is trying to unfold. They've continued to be very active and present, and it hasn't stagnated at all.
They, by law, actually, B Labs as certified entity, I thought this was really interesting.
Yeah.
They, by law, if you're a B corporation and you bring them information that is going to help them evolve,
Mm-hmm.
they have to look at that information.
Nice.
By law.
Nice.
They have to. They have a responsibility.
A charter or
A
something.
responsibility to us. Then if we come to them and say, hey, there's this, then it's better. This needs to be included in your little checklist.
Mhm.
They have to look at
That's really good to know.
And one of the things that Arlo and I have talked about as well
Besides
is
having the cutest business card in the world, besides that.
you know,
It's a rainbow.
in Kel Commerce kind of represents the whole business model, whereas you know we have the distribution and you know plans to do the store and
Mhm.
and even a product line, but you know as we go we're learning about all the different aspects of the business and creating an ethical business, and I think we want to be a model for what does an ethical business look like,
Yeah.
and you know, maybe even, we've talked about even, well, no, maybe I shouldn't give our trade secrets away. But,
Now we're gonna have to kill you.
Yeah.
I wonder anymore if they're even our trade secrets. I don't even know. Like
Well,
I'm
you
still
should-
having people sign NDAs, but I'm like, is this even relevant anymore? I don't know. Maybe it won't.
In a sense, I think sometimes when you're thinking about an ethical business, I like the idea of somebody stealing.
Yeah,
in some sense,
absolutely.
you know, and
Yeah.
I think, you know what, if they are actually coming at it from an ethical standpoint, I think we're entering a time where the consumer and those patronizing our business or businesses, they see it. They
Oh,
know that when a oil company puts a commercial on TV with little birds flying by and says, "Oh, we're great for the environment," they know it's a bunch
Yes,
of
we're not
a
there.
load of crap, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think they see that. So I look at it like this: if somebody takes, if we're operating as an ethical business and we have a lot of transparency, if somebody takes advantage of our transparency to create an ethical business,
Yeah.
they're going to have to really do it because the consumer can see through it otherwise. They
Yeah.
know that it's PR otherwise. So
Right.
that gives us, in a sense, it makes it a little easier for us to not have to worry about protecting protecting our interest in that sense, because
Yeah.
we know that if somebody else is going to do it, it's all for the higher good, in a sense, and
Right.
they're really going to do it. And now, if they're really doing it, they're not stealing anything from
Yeah,
anybody.
exactly.
So,
Because we're all a unique offering.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
well, also, but just to be ethical,
Yeah.
just to be part
They
of
would
that,
just be-
they aren't already if they're stealing that concept.
Right.
That's what.
Yeah, so we have this idea of beyond vegan, beyond organic, beyond fair trade, as with an E, an ethical product that includes all of these things,
Mhm.
Yeah.
It doesn't exploit anyone or anything or any.
And
Okay. I
Are
have.
you running with the E? And
Yeah.
yeah.
I am. Actually, yeah, I have a branding. I'm having a branding moment right now. Yeah,
What's
because we could do that.
yeah?
I mean, this is so beautiful. I don't get it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. That's
And it reminds me of butterflies more than it reminds me of kale.
Oh.
And I don't need a lot of kale, but I do need a lot of butterflies. So, so I like that. No, I was just thinking. I mean, if the E is really important.
Well, we've kind of played with the what is the letters stand for,
Uh-huh.
and our favorite one that we came up with
Elephant.
is no, I mean like as an actual phrase,
Oh, okay.
kind apes living ethically.
I love
That
it.
was the best.
I love it.
My mom actually helped me come up with part of that, so.
My mom would do that really well too. She
Yeah.
would love that job.
Yeah, because it was I think she came up with kind altruists
Okay,
living
yes.
ethically, but it kind of sounded redundant and with altruist and
Oh,
ethically.
yes.
So
Yes.
I will do
So,
some
I like
logos
it.
where I can put a box behind the E.
Yeah.
I could do that, and now to kind of make the E stand out. I could
Yeah,
do
because
that.
if the E is gonna be, I mean, it's like the B Labs, like you know what it is because they've really kind of brought it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the ethics, I mean, the ethics is all across here. Y'all can't see this. We're just talking without you. We don't mean to, but you're gonna get one of these, and then you'll see. See how many times ethical has used right here. So isn't it pretty? It's so pretty.
we might have to do a.
Y'all win. My
part two.
business card's got nothing on y'all.
We might have to do like a part 2 of this conversation, but
We could.
yeah.
Because I think it's really helpful. I mean, if I were, we were talking about millennials, which I'm not. Sorry, y'all are not either.
It's okay. I'm okay.
That I know of. I don't know. But
Generation X or
Huh?
something like that.
yeah, we're probably all Xers, I'm guessing.
He might be a Y.
I feel like
Are you a Y?
I have no idea.
You can't, I don't think you can be a Y if you've been a grown up for 20 years. Have you been a grown up for 20 years?
I'm never gonna
Okay.
grow up.
We'll get back to you.
No, actually, I think he's an X. He's an X because I thought he was younger than he actually.
I mean, we all look great. This is the confusion, This is the problem. So, no, but we were talking about earlier my mentoring relationships with, and I've built a lot of programming for WISE and for intergen utilization. And one of the issues that I see, or one of the pieces of culture that I see in the Y generation, which if Paradigm One corporations were going to survive, would be important for them to know, is that because these folks grew up during a big economic contraction, the millennials did, they are now entirely unable to negotiate and to share what they want and need. And I've seen this over and over in ways that would stagger you. Even, and I point this out because this has traditionally been a big gender gapping where you would see males able to negotiate or assuming that they would be negotiating, and females not assuming that, or even assuming that they wouldn't be negotiating certain terms at work, certain terms in relationships, different things. And what I actually see in my millennial colleagues who are males is that no understanding that they even have the option of negotiating, and things I wouldn't even call negotiating, like taking a day off when a day off is your benefit, just not understanding that that's okay to do, actually fearing being fired over things like that. that older generations would not, bat an eyelash about doing. So what the consequence of that for Paradigm One companies and any company employing a millennial is that we need to be aware that that is an issue, because if those people are not able to voice yet, we've got to be the bosses who actually press them into that and create a highly developmental, highly rigorous, velocity-oriented, vibrationally, familial and safe space for them to learn that it's okay to ask for what you need. It's okay to say what you're great at and what you're doing the rest of the day when you go home from work. And if we don't do that, and the companies that do not do that are going to experience massive loss of productivity, because these people are going to stay working for them and are never going to be properly employed, because you're never going to know what they're good at. So, I know you have to go. We didn't do our contract conversation even, but I'm moved to do that on here too when we do it, and we don't have to post it if you hate it or something, but I think it's another piece that would be helpful for people who are moving into this space to understand, oh God, but it's a contract that sounds so scary, but
Well,
like
that's-
how do we do those conversations when we're in this other vibrational place where it's really about sharing and letting whatever unfold.
And that's why I forwarded that draft to you, even though you're not, you're not pale. We're the ones that are going to make the decision. But I think because of your knowledge and your vision with business, that you can help us develop that, and then you benefit from it as well. Like
Cool.
this is what a contract's going to look like for businesses in the future, instead of that old draft.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I feel really honored
while
about that.
also I think companies are still going to be concerned about protecting themselves,
Yeah.
because not everybody
For a
is
little
ethical.
while, yeah.
And yeah, you can or maybe just
But
not
it's just
conscious.
a communication, it's a
Yes.
communication method.
It is, yeah.
And
So-
making sure that we come at it from that place and from an honoring place rather than a fear place really changes the whole dynamic of the document.
One of the number one reasons I like to have contracts is because it keeps me in line.
Right,
Because
like
I can
I
refer
forget.
back to that contract and I can go, oh, what did we talk about?
Right.
Did I agree to 3% or 2%?
Right.
And I can always go back to that document and see that.
Yeah,
So
me
that's,
too.
That's where I see one of the greatest benefits of a contract.
Yeah, the self-communication tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And it makes it's clear for everyone too.
Yeah. for sure.
Instead of going and going, well, what if
And how are you feeling today? And what did I have for breakfast? And so how am I feeling today? And all that. And yeah, what we have for breakfast shouldn't determine anything.
So do you want to continue like the contractual part of it, in a day or two?
Yeah, let's do. So I'm going to close this out here. We're at 1 hour 12 minutes. So this has turned into 15 YouTube installments, or five, not 15 YouTube installments. But thank y'all for being with us. This has been just super, super awesome and helpful and a wonderful time. This is the first time that the three of us have really ever sat down and chatted. So it's so powerful that you get to see what the universe does, what God does, whatever fill in the blank term you want to use, what happens when we can be open in that space. And so we'll continue this, and I'll post these. You'll know this already because you'll have already seen it. But I'm
Can we
posting
share them on our
yeah,
Facebook
absolutely.
page, right?
Yeah, they'll be on the YouTube channel, and I'll post notice of them through Instagram, which we'll post into my Facebook and Twitter. And you all are welcome to pull that too, and send people over, because this will be 5 different installments that people can watch all at once or just in parts.
And it's only part 1.
Well, the way that YouTube posts is they'll give you 15-minute bits, and so people can watch the whole thing or just a part of it and just work your way through it. But I think this is, this kind of thing would have been so heartening to me if I had seen it 2 or 3 years ago, and if I had seen it 10 years ago, I probably would have already done this. That's the truth of it.
Yeah. Or you may not have even believed it.
I would have.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
have, because I would have seen the vision to it, but I would have been like, oh, so I can do something completely new, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think for the millennials out there, especially, the extras, we're just fed up with the rest of it, and we're ready to go. But the millennials who are still in officey jobs or in spaces that they don't quite feel connected with, I want y'all to know that this is real, and all this is a yes. That's all it is. It's not a I knew how to do this. It's not a I knew how to meet these kids here. It's not a they knew what it was going to look like. I mean, we didn't even get into the story yet about how y'all formed, what that history was. But I think that would be really interesting to do too. So we'll probably do some more of these. I think these are really good.
Yeah, I
So we'll
like
just
it.
keep doing these.
We
That's what I
learn,
do.
we learn a lot, and we, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's good for everybody, I think.
Bye.
All right, bye
So-
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.